very few laws, rules, and regulations that deal with private schools. You'd be surprised how.
No, what I was going to say, but the bill itself doesn't relate to private schools. It relates to public schools.
Right. In our
So
case,
they're taken out both ways.
the private schools, we do look at governance. But it's always one school, one board. It's not a complete system. I haven't received one yet. There was a system of private schools. But we do deal with the board for each one.
But I was trying to address the issue that was raised by Representative Dukes as to what applies to what, and that bill applies not to private schools, which looks at governance, and it applies to public schools with governance, which would then not apply to your accrediting issues as an agency. I wanted to make sure that we were clear on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Bentley.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm Patty Bentley, representing House District 139, which includes Taylor, Macon, and Duval counties, and the city of Fort Valley. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. The Georgia Accrediting Commission, your board members are appointed by whom?
They're not appointed.
How are they?
They are elected by the membership. We have 17 board members, the commissioners at this time, and they're apportioned between certain educational positions, like we might have 2 principals, a superintendent, and the actual members are elected then by those school systems that are accredited by us.
What's your name? I'm sorry, I didn't get
Tom Holmes, Holmes, and I chair the commission.
So one last question, Mr. Chairman. Representative Dukes. So am I understanding that not every school in this state has to be accredited by
Public school,
SACS?
public high, I was principal in 2 high schools, and we were both SACS and Georgia Accrediting Commission accredited. Being a public school, we had to follow law and standards, and they very closely are aligned with the Georgia Accrediting Commission standards. So as far as a public high school being accredited by Georgia Accrediting, nothing special had to be done in preparation for them because we were already following the law and the standards. And it just, as a principal, it was a lot of pride to be able to get the certificate accredited with quality and it being in the paper and the recognition. With the SACS accreditation, a lot of special preparation has gone into it, especially since they've gone towards a school improvement model.
I've had 2 superintendents tell me that they were real pleased joining the Georgia Accrediting Commission because the kinds of standards we have are things that can be actually carried out in a school, and with leadership carrying that out. So it's easier to say, let's look at these kind of things because at least it's enumerated and listed here.
I think that's a significant point. As a building level administrator, I was able to make improvements at the building level simply because there were standards were in place by Georgia Accredited, which look at the standards and improvement of the schools different from Southern Association. Now we were, every district that I've been in, we were accredited by both. And we wanted to make sure that we covered all areas so that we would in fact have a quality program. I will say that I think someone has already kind of addressed that. What I found is that the issues with accreditation and with schools, they are adult issues in most cases. They're not issues that children or teachers have. It's an issue usually with the relationship between the Board of Education and the superintendent. And unfortunately, those issues sometimes will follow down into at the building level and can create some issues, some problems. So I found and I utilized the credit agencies when I was at the building level in order to improve the setting of the schools. We were able to, a lot of times you're not able to get a quality, I guess, get money to carry out certain programs. In one district that I was in, one school that I was in, we were able to get nurses because we put it into the accrediting requirement. So before you came around again, when you said to your superintendent that, look, we're not going to be accredited if we don't buy this nurse. We were able to get that. If we don't have this nursing room for for students. And that's just addresses the safety issue that Dr. Brown has brought to the forefront.
Representative Thomas.
No, it's her. I'm sorry.
That's okay, no problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I represent Senate District 44, which includes portions of Clayton County and portion of DeKalb County. And both of those school systems have had some type of accrediting issue. I'm really concerned about the oversight, I guess, and the accountability. And you're an accredited agency like SACS is. Do you all have any type of oversight? Are you accountable to anyone, or who do you answer to, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Basically, it lands on my desk. This is, I don't say with pride, but we revoked the accreditation of 4 schools earlier this month because they would not, either could not meet our standards even after given time. We do not and cannot visit schools frequently enough to know all of the problems they have to get, but the world works in our favor in that if someone thinks they're damaged, there's a good possibility they're going to call me. And when they do, I'm going to talk it over with the school, and if necessary, we will send a consultant to go back and investigate that situation. We had a case, for example, where the principal allowed a student to graduate with not the proper mix of credits that we specify. Okay, she didn't call me up and tell me that. We had to find out for ourselves. So it's not as good accountability as I'd like, but even so, it is something to work for every school.
I think she's actually maybe asking, who are we accountable for?
Oh,
Who's our governing body? And actually, we're accountable to our membership because the board of directors is elected by the membership and serve for terms, and they're staggered. And one thing in the nomination process is we look for all areas of the state as well as all different kinds of representation. You might have heard mentioned we've got a RISA director, we've got private school representation, public school representation, pre-K, kindergarten, high school, elementary, university level, Department of Education. So we're answerable to our membership, and our membership handles us through the elections.
Okay, so is actually, the follow-up is actually you all are like SACS, you police yourselves?
Yes.
Right, okay. Now, let me ask this. Are you all, because in Clayton County, teachers were teaching and children were learning. And it might have been a governance issue, but I see that as no reason to take a school system accreditation. Let me ask you this, my last question. I understand that the accrediting agencies charge schools for, each school has to pay for them to be policed. So I guess I'm asking, is your agency, I guess, competitive with the other accredited agencies? Or you are higher or lower,
Our
or
membership
about the
dues
same?
are $50 a year
We're a lot
for
more.
our membership dues, which is, gosh, I don't know.
$50 per school?
Right.
$50 per program. And what we mean by that is in terms of the cost for school, if a school just has, let's say, a pre-K program, that's gonna be $50. Anything beyond that, grades K through 12, depends on the component that you have. If you want the K through 5, and you want 6 through 8, if you want 9 through 12, then if you had separate units like that, for each of those units you pay $50.
Oh, okay.
But the sum total may very well be whatever. Many schools, what they do, they have the pre-K, then they have the K through 8, The pre-K is $50, the K through 8 is $50, and then the 9 through 12 is $50. So it's $150.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, I just thought it was thousands of dollars. I just thought these accredited agents were just getting rich. But I want to make sure, because I'm gonna ask these others the same question. So it's like $150.
Now, the visitation's more expensive. Every 5 years are visited, and there's a consultant that comes, and different categories of schools, some of them require a consultant and a board member, and they're $250 a day.
Okay, I'm gonna stop, Mr. Chairman, but let me just ask one last question. Do you all, once you go in and say that a board is not functioning properly, do you all suggest that they take classes, and do you all charge for that? Oh, but you all are governments, so you don't deal with that. Okay, I'm sorry, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
The only time that we'd be concerned about the board is when we have board members in the schools without acting as a board, but acting as an individual and micromanaging or attempting to micromanage the school. And we have run into that from time to time, and we stop it.
Thank you very much.
Representative Jordan said there's a dying question that comes behind what she's saying, so I want to come after him.
You want to yield for him?
Yield for him, but I want to come to him.
Well, actually, you answered part of the question, and the question that I had, that I'm still having problems with. And I think that because you all are different than Sachs, then let's say that you detect a problem in the school. When you have to do a follow-up, do you charge on top of the $50? You answered that question, I think, by saying you do not, as opposed to other agencies, because other agencies come back. Well, I'm Darrell Jordan. I represent Clayton County, so you understand.
Yes, sir.
But you left out one little thing on your open, and I have to say this also. I'm also a retired educator. A bad principal, you talked about superintendents can cause problems. Also, a bad principal can harm a good teacher, but there's not very much a good teacher can do to a bad principal. I want to throw that out there. So, but could you kind of, and I would like to, I'm trying to figure out the cost of, because true educator, well.
Spoken like a good teacher.
I hope so. Second generation. But could you kind of expand on that?
I'd like to say that superintendent to do what he or she needs to do, then that would be handled.
But it's not as easy as you think it is, sir. That can't happen. But let's stay general. Let's keep focused, because, and I respect what you said, believe me. But after 31 years, and both of my parents were educators, and I have a sister that just retired in Atlanta, and I have another sister that's in Bibb County, and a brother that's in DeKalb County. Okay, we are educators. Okay,
I got you by 8 years.
I understand it. Thank you very much.
If we would, let's see if the
We're gonna
members.
get to the question now.
If you would, let's make sure that the members do questions, and at the end you want to have commentaries with your commentary.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
We're just waiting on the second part of this question.
Yes.
In response to the first part of your question, if we find that a school is violating one or more of our standards, it might be that I can call the school and talk with a school leader, and they will start meeting the standards. It might be that it's significant enough, blatant enough, that we'd have to send a representative from us, another consultant. I do not assign a consultant to do an investigation of a problem who has also done the initial evaluation of the school for accreditation. For example, if Dr. Threet goes to school X, and later on, after he's gone, bad things start happening, then one of the other consultants will make an investigation of that school. A lot of the problems that we handle, though, and if you just looked at the volume, the executive director can handle just, I'd say 75% of them. A lot of them have to do with the way people perceive their rights in private schools. This is not a slam against private schools, but if you send your child to a public school, yes, you have a ton of rights. If you send your child to a private school, you have very few.
Representative Thomas.
Okay, Representative Mabel Thomas from Atlanta, Fulton County. I'm just, maybe it was talked about earlier, but I'm just trying to get a grip on this. You know, in the news, I mean, I'm just like a regular citizen, and you just hear about sacks, and every time somebody's, you know, dealing with somebody and pushing people out or doing that, it's sacks, okay? So how do, does the Atlanta Public School System, I'm in Atlanta, so the Atlanta Public School System have the choice to decide whether to be with Georgia Credit Committee, and it's just a vote. It's just a simple vote. And if they take that vote and go with another agency, then is there a thing that says Saks is better than, or how do y'all rate, how is it rated? So, in other words, why then, with all the problems with Saks, I can't understand why school boards hadn't just gotten rid of y'all. I mean, not you. I know, don't stay with me. I know this is Georgia Accrediting Commission, I think. But I'm saying, so why, I'm just wondering why people put up with that. So is it just a matter of the school board deciding to go with another agency? And why wouldn't people go with another agency? Because they traditionally have been with that agency? Or is it that if they go with your agency, then it would be less than?
Well, Saks has wonderful objectives and great vision. They have an advantage over the GAC because Saks is recognized around the world. Australia recognizes it. If you go to a Saks accredited school, it'll transfer to any other school in the state that's Saks accredited, or it's a public school. Saks is one of the finest accrediting agencies in the nation.
In your opinion?
I can get some people to agree with me on that one.
I can get people to disagree with you on it. All right, thank you. That's it.
All right, well, listen, we certainly want to, Dr. Brown, we want to thank you, and Dr.
I got one dying question.
It's Bernie.
Yes, Bernie, I'll make it quick, because when she said that, you mentioned that, Saks accreditation, their credits can transfer. What about with Georgia Accrediting Commission?
The only guarantee is ours will transfer from Georgia school to Georgia school.
Okay.
As far as other states, other colleges, we can only speak for Georgia.
Okay. Understood.
Armed forces take our accreditation.
Armed forces take yours, and that kind of goes back to your question, why would they stay?
Army, Navy, Air Force, you know, it's all the military.
And then Dr. Brown's 12 years of experience, only one college has not accepted a Georgia accrediting commission.
Edward Waters.
We would certainly want to thank you, Dr. Brown and Dr. Three, and my superintendent.
You gotta take care of home.
He's from my home.
Dr. Phillips and Dr. Holmes for taking the time to come and at least enlighten us to what the accrediting agencies, your accrediting agencies, are all about, what accrediting agencies do, and how we can. It was been enlightening for us, and we want to thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Murphy, when do you take over?
July 1.
July 1.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
The message yet.
Even when we had the Georgia Accrediting Commission here, but it seems as if every question was asked about Saks, And we are honored today to have in our midst the executive director. Oh yeah, we honored to have everybody.
We got Warren County here, they ready.
Okay. Since if you would give just, because so many questions was just section. I want to see if I can at least, right, since Dr. Elhart is here, to follow up with my commissionings, and then we will go to Warren County, if that's okay with the people from Warren County.
I think they want to go now, but they were ready to come.
Well, no.
Yeah, just bring them on.
They're gonna have to.
Bring them on. Just bring them on. I gotta go. Bring them on. Bring us the sacks.
The question was to the board members from Warren County. You have been here, you were here at 4. And if you want to come at this time, you can. Well, at this time, we are honored and humbled to have a young lady who felt so strongly about her position as being a member of the Warren County School Board and felt like she was illegally removed. She and Dr. Culver, along with another plaintiff, filed suit with the state of Georgia. And it was rendered in the case of Roberts versus Deal that the removal of school board members was unconstitutional under our previous statute. And they have with them their attorney, E. Brian Watkins. And at this time, we would like to hear from you all to provide testimony.
But good afternoon.
Get at it.
I am Clara Roberts. My name is the name Roberts and others versus Governor Sonny Perdue and others. I am from Warren County, a very small county, a population of about 6,300 people. I am a retired educator, 31 successful years. I was elected to the Board of Education in Warren County in 2006. Now, I had a great experience in education. But before I go any further, I do need to pause and